Everyone thinks AI is taking over, but nobody is talking about how most people are using it completely wrong, or how it basically breaks down if you ask it to do basic logic.
Right, or how your company is secretly about to kill its big AI pilot anyway.
Which is just wild. I mean, we are so obsessed with this science fiction doomsday scenario that we are entirely ignoring the mundane disaster happening right in front of us.
You mean the fact that the entire corporate world is quietly having a total meltdown over this?
That is exactly what I mean. Welcome to the deep dive. It is officially 2026, and the AI honeymoon is completely over.
Completely over.
Yeah. We have a massive stack of sources to get through today. We're pulling from CIO Magazine, ISA Industry Reports, the Strategy Stack, and we're even weaving in some classic psychology texts.
Because we really need to figure out why our brains are handling this whole technological shift so poorly.
Exactly.
And let's be honest, human behavior is the real story here. I mean, look around. Every single piece of software you use right now suddenly has a shiny, pulsing AI button that literally nobody asked for. It's like you buy a toaster and now the toaster wants to brainstorm synergies with you. It's exhausting.
So the mission of this deep dive is to cut right through what the industry is calling AI washing. We're going to unpack the very uncomfortable realities hitting scale right now.
The stuff nobody wants to admit.
Right. We're looking at the death of these corporate AI pilots, the cold math behind the current wave of mass layoffs, and the total illusion of our digital privacy.
Wait, before we get into the corporate panic, I really need to push back on your first point.
Okay, go for it.
You said the tech breaks down on basic logic, but like every time I log into one of these platforms, it feels incredibly smart. I mean, it generates entire business plans in seconds.
It definitely feels smart, yes. But to understand why boardrooms are panicking right now, we have to look at what the tech actually is, and more importantly, what it isn't.
Okay.
Let's look at that June 2025 Apple study from our sources. They tested what we call large reasoning models, or LRMs.
Those are the ones that are supposed to use a chain of thought, right? Like when you prompt it to think step by step.
Exactly. So the researchers gave these models standard math and logic word problems. And they did fine at first.
Makes sense.
But then the researchers did something really simple. They added a single, trivial, entirely irrelevant detail to the problem.
Like what kind of detail?
Like saying, John has 5 apples, he buys 3 more, and by the way, the apples are unusually small. How many apples does he have?
Okay, that's just basic addition.
Right. But the model suffered what the researchers called a complete accuracy collapse.
Complete accuracy collapse just from adding a random detail about small apples.
Yes. The models just halted, or they outputted completely bizarre math. They literally couldn't filter out the noise.
Wow.
Cognitive scientist Gary Marcus called this a knockout blow for large language models. The reality is, the AI isn't comprehending the logic of the problem at all.
So it's just guessing.
It is purely statistical pattern matching. It's just predicting the next most likely word based on billions of examples in its training data.
So it's essentially the world's most confident mansplainer.
Yes.
I mean, it uses all the right jargon, it sounds incredibly authoritative, but under the hood, it fundamentally lacks the actual mechanism of logic.
That is a brilliant way to put it. Think of it like a musician who can play a complex Mozart sonata perfectly by ear just because they've heard it 1,000 times.
Right, muscle memory.
But if you ask them to change the key, they completely freeze. Why? Because they don't actually know how to read sheet music. They don't understand the underlying theory.
Okay, that analogy actually makes it click, so it has no actual context for what it's saying.
None at all. Look at the numbers from the research. AI language models correctly interpret context in conversations only about 70% of the time.
And for humans.
For humans, that baseline is about 95%. And it gets vastly worse when you look at cross-domain transfer.
Which is what
Yeah.
exactly?
It's taking a skill from one area and applying it to another. If an AI is trained to play chess, and you ask it to pivot to playing Go, its success rate in transferring those strategies is below 10%.
Below 10%, that's terrible.
But I cannot generalize knowledge.
Which is entirely different from how you or I learn. If I learn to drive a car, I generally understand the physics of driving a golf cart.
Right, and that connects perfectly to how human psychology actually works. Have you ever read about George Armitage Miller?
The cognitive psychologist from the 50s?
Yes. He published this incredibly famous paper called The Magical Number 7 ± 2. He developed this concept of human chunking.
Chunking, like grouping things together.
Exactly. It's the mechanism of how our brains process multidimensional stimuli. If I give you a 10-digit phone number, Your brain does not memorize 10 random sequential digits.
Right, I'd break it up into an area code, the middle three, the last four.
You chunk the data to create actual semantic meaning that compresses the information so your working memory can handle it.
So we build concepts. We don't just store raw data like a hard drive.
Exactly. Humans actively process and compress meaning to understand the world. But AI isn't chunking anything.
It's just scanning.
It isn't building concepts at all. It is just calculating vector proximity, meaning it's just plotting how close words appear to each other in a giant mathematical space.
It's painting by numbers, just incredibly fast.
Exactly.
Okay, but if the tech is fundamentally flawed at a base logical level, how are these massive tech companies justifying the billions of dollars they are spending on infrastructure right now?
Oh, because of the hype cycle.
Uh-huh.
And the hangover has officially arrived. The vendors know that investors desperately want to see the word AI on every single product roadmap.
So we are getting what the industry calls AI washing.
Exactly, which is just stuffing superficial chatbots into already bloated enterprise tools.
And it doesn't even add functional value.
No, what it actually does is introduce two massive organizational nightmares: technical debt and shadow IT.
Let's define those for anyone listening who isn't, spending their life in IT management meetings.
Fair. So technical debt is basically rushing out a shiny new feature right now to please your shareholders, but you write terrible unstructured code to do it.
Like taking out a loan.
Right. You take out a loan to be fast, and eventually you have to pay the interest when that broken code crashes your system.
And shadow IT.
That's when your employees get frustrated with your slow tools, so they just start using rogue, unauthorized AI platforms on their personal laptops.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, they're uploading your company's proprietary code to a public model without telling the security team.
It's like buying a ridiculously expensive experimental gadget, losing the instruction manual, and then just plugging it into the wall with a frayed wire hidden behind the couch.
That is exactly what is happening. And boardrooms are finally waking up to the fire hazard.
I mean, they have to.
The sources keep referring to 2026 as the AI killing season. The mood has violently shifted.
12 months ago, it was all, what cool things can AI do?
Yep, and today, the question is, show me the exact financial ROI on this project by Friday, or I am shutting it down.
And they really are shutting them down. The stats in that Issachar report are genuinely jarring.
They are.
Over 4/5 of corporate AI pilots will die this year. Over 80%.
And the reason why is the real kicker. It isn't because the AI is too smart or too advanced.
No.
No, 55% of these AI projects fail purely due to bad data quality.
Wait, hold on. We are burning billions of dollars on these hyper-advanced compute models, and they are failing because our internal Excel spreadsheets are a mess.
Yes. Garbage in, garbage out is still the undefeated champion of computer science.
That is hilarious, but also terrifying.
If your company's internal data is siloed, outdated, and unformatted, the AI model has nothing to pattern match against.
It's just starving for good information.
And the financial cost of discovering this is astronomical. Just training a single large AI model consumes the energy equivalent of 5 cars over their entire lifetimes.
Wait, that's just the initial training, not even the daily queries.
Just the training. Add in the rare earth metals required for the hardware, the millions of gallons of fresh water required just to cool the data centers.
The math simply doesn't math for most of these vanity pilots.
Exactly. They are too expensive, they introduce too much security risk, and they fundamentally fail when they hit bad internal data.
Okay, so the vanity pilots are dying. That actually seems like a healthy market correction.
It is, but here is where the research gets incredibly dark.
Uh-oh.
While the useless AI chatbots are getting killed off, the automations that do actually work are quietly ushering in a brutal new economic reality.
A harvest phase.
Right, the harvest phase. We are now about 24 to 36 months post-ChatGPT.
Wow, time flies.
Back in 2023, companies planted all these seeds. They bought the enterprise licenses, they restructured workflows, they integrated the APIs.
And it takes time to reorganize a massive global company. You don't see the impact immediately.
But right now, in 2026, those seeds are maturing. The harvest is here.
And the harvest looks like mass layoffs. Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, plus thousands of mid-sized logistics and marketing firms.
And they aren't just trimming the fat anymore. They are structurally changing what a company looks like.
It's scary.
If we look at the mechanics of corporate finance, it is just cold, hard logic. For most large organizations, 60 to 80% of their operational costs are people.
Salaries, healthcare, benefits, office space.
Right. If an AI tool can come into a copywriting department or an entry-level coding department and give them a 30 to 50% efficiency lift, it just becomes a mathematical equation.
You don't even need a villainous, mustache-twirling CEO to make that cut.
Not at all.
The board of directors is going to look at the spreadsheet. If 5 people armed with an LRM can now do the work that used to require 10 people, they're going to eliminate those 5 salaries.
Because if they don't, their competitors will.
Yeah.
The market aggressively penalizes any company that fails to optimize.
It is a ruthless correction.
Yeah, it really is.
But wait, this brings me back to the musician analogy. If the AI doesn't actually understand logic, and it regularly hallucinates facts, how is it taking my job? It can't even do basic math.
Because it doesn't have to be perfect to take your job.
Really?
It just has to be good enough to compress the value of human capabilities.
Yeah.
It lowers the barrier to entry.
Oh, and safe.
If a junior developer used to spend 4 hours writing boilerplate code, and now the AI can generate a flawed but functional version of that code in 4 seconds.
The senior developer just spends 10 minutes fixing the AI's mistake.
Exactly. You just eliminated the need for the junior developer entirely.
That is bleak. So what does this all mean for the person listening to this right now? The sources actually outline 3 very clear options for navigating this year.
Option 1. Upskill fast. You need to pivot immediately into strategic, highly complex, or deeply creative skills that require cross-domain transfer.
The exact thing we proved the AI cannot do.
Right. Option 2. Become the AI-empowered individual contributor. Be the person in the office who understands the prompt engineering and data architecture better than anyone else.
Basically, be the conductor, not the instrument.
Exactly. And option 3. Reskill entirely into a physical domain. Plumbers, electricians, physical logistics.
Because sitting at your desk, just hoping your company's AI pilot fails so you can keep your job, that is not a strategy.
Not at all. And if you want to survive this killing season, whether you are an employee trying to stay relevant or a company trying to make your AI actually work, you need the one resource that makes these models function.
High-quality, organized data.
Which brings us to a massive pivot point in our sources. To fix that terrible data quality causing these pilots to fail, companies are getting really desperate.
Desperate enough to do what?
Well, that desperation is leading them straight into our personal lives, resulting in the death of privacy.
People used to say data is the new oil, which is just a terrible, tired cliche at this point.
It's outdated. The sources are very clear. Data is the new gold. It is the only currency that matters in this arms race.
Wow.
And the next 2 years are predicted to be the most invasive period of data harvesting in human history.
Because the models have basically hit a wall, right? Like, they've already ingested the entire public internet. Every Wikipedia article, every Reddit thread.
Yeah, they've eaten everything. Now they're starving for fresh, diverse, private human data.
And they're coming for it aggressively. Look at the lawsuits piling up. Meta allegedly using hundreds of thousands of pirated books to train Llama.
OpenAI scraping personal data across the web without any meaningful consent.
Google retroactively updating its entire privacy policy just to authorize themselves to use your public data.
And the companies do not care about the lawsuits. For them, a billion-dollar fine is just a rounding error.
It's literally categorized internally as a cost of innovation.
Exactly. They pay the fine, but they've already captured the value of your data. The model is already trained. You cannot untrain an algorithm.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Let's say you're listening to this and thinking, well, I'm safe, I'm careful, I don't use the chatbots, I use a private browser, I don't upload my journal entries or photos. You are protected, right?
This is where the research gave me actual chills. The answer is no. You don't even have to give AI your data directly to be compromised.
Wait, explain the mechanism behind that. How is that possible?
It's a mathematical concept called the birthday paradox applied to digital identity.
Okay, the birthday paradox. Break that down for me.
If you have 23 random people in a room, there is a 50% chance that 2 of them share the exact same birthday.
Which feels intuitively wrong.
It does. But mathematically, because of probability collisions, it's true.
So how does that apply to privacy?
It applies through network graph inference. Even if you completely opt out of every AI platform on Earth, your network sells you out.
My network. Like my friends.
Yes. If 3 of your friends save your phone number and email in their contacts, the system identifies your node. If your phone pings a cell tower near a specific location every night at 2 a.m., and someone else's phone pings that same tower, and they use the AI tools, the system mathematically collides those probabilities.
So the AI infers where you live. It infers your relationships, your habits, your social class.
Entirely without your consent. It maps you by observing the negative space around the people who do use the tech.
That is terrifying.
Your actions and your network speak for you, even if you never type a single word into a prompt.
But wait, isn't the government stepping in to stop this? What about regulators? I thought the EU AI Act was supposed to be the gold standard that saved us from this surveillance capitalism.
It is a fragmented, chaotic mess. Yes, the EU has the AI Act, which is incredibly comprehensive and categorizes risk levels. But look at the United States.
Right, there is no federal standard here.
None. It is a massive, conflating patchwork of state laws.
Hmm.
Colorado is targeting algorithmic bias.
Illinois has incredibly strict laws focused on biometric employment surveillance.
California is busy chasing down deepfakes.
So if you are a global enterprise trying to launch an AI feature, you are trying to navigate this massive web of conflicting rules.
But here is the real issue. The technology is moving at light speed. AI regulation is essentially moving at dial-up speed, while AI models are operating on gigabit fiber.
The regulators fundamentally cannot catch up to the probability collisions happening in the data centers.
They really can't. Which leads us to the ultimate question of this deep dive.
Okay.
If this technology is this invasive, if it is literally causing mass layoffs driven by cold spreadsheet math, if it regularly fails at basic logic and hallucinates facts, why, as a society, are we still so blindly obsessed with it?
Why do we keep forcing it into every single app on our phone?
Exactly. That's where we have to dive into the psychology of the hype.
Right.
We have to look at why we actively choose to do this to ourselves.
The sources bring in Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky for this, right?
Yes, the brilliant behavioral economists.
Yeah.
They proved decades ago that humans are constantly on the lookout for causal connections, even when they don't exist.
But more importantly for this discussion, we systematically and reliably misjudge probability.
Yes. We vastly overestimate low probability events.
Like an artificial general intelligence waking up tomorrow, deciding humanity is a virus, and taking over the world like Skynet.
We obsess over that scenario, we make movies about it, CEOs tweet about it, but at the exact same time, we completely underestimate high probability events.
Like, a corporate AI pilot failing because our internal data is messy.
Right.
Or getting laid off because an algorithm just squeezed out a 30% efficiency gain in the copywriting department.
You worry about the sci-fi movie while the actual boring Excel spreadsheet quietly ruins our day.
It reminds me of another psychological concept from the sources, Donald Broadbent.
Oh yeah, the British psychologist in the 50s.
Right, he studied selective attention. He had this analogy of a Y-shaped tube in the human brain.
The bottleneck effect.
Yes. He argued that we have a cognitive filter, and we can really only effectively process and listen to one voice at a time.
So right now, society basically has two voices yelling at us through that Y-shaped tube.
Exactly. One voice is incredibly loud, shiny, and screaming, AI is magic. It is going to cure diseases, it's going to do your laundry, it's going to write your novel.
And the other voice is boring, technical, and dry, saying this is a massive data governance nightmare, it hallucinates logic, and it is destroying digital privacy.
And Broadbent's theory suggests that our brains literally cannot process both simultaneously. So we just tune our cognitive filter to the magic.
We completely block out the boring warning. We are experiencing mass cognitive dissonance on a societal level.
We want the magic so badly.
We want the science fiction future, but what we are actually getting in 2026 is technical debt, shadow IT, and broken reasoning models that can't figure out a math problem if you add an extra apple.
We are projecting our deep desire for a perfect, intelligent assistant onto a statistical pattern matcher, and as a workforce, we are paying a massive price for that projection.
So let's bring this all together. What is the actual reality of the AI hype in 2026?
The reality is that the tech is powerful, but it is bounded. It is absolutely not artificial general intelligence.
Not even close.
It is a highly capable tool that is forcing a ruthless corporate correction. It is reshaping the workforce through inescapable math, and it is eroding personal privacy at an unprecedented scale.
And society is just eagerly cheering it on, uploading our entire lives into the machine.
So the takeaway for you listening right now is this. You have to treat AI as a tool to be designed and actively managed. It is not an inevitable magic trick that you just blindly accept.
Absolutely.
You have to question the output, you have to secure your data, and most importantly, you have to adapt your skills to do the things it mathematically cannot do.
I want to leave you with one final, deeply provocative thought. There's another psychological concept mentioned in our sources called the Zeigarnik effect.
Bluma Zeigarnik, right, the psychologist who studied waiters in cafes.
Exactly. She noticed that waiters could remember incredibly complex, unpaid orders perfectly. But the second the bill was paid, they instantly forgot what the table ordered.
That's fascinating.
She discovered that human beings remember interrupted or uncompleted tasks far better than completed ones. An unfinished task literally creates a physiological tension in our minds that we simply cannot let go of until it is resolved.
Our brains absolutely hate unresolved loops.
They really do. So, what if our cultural obsession with AI right now has absolutely nothing to do with what the tech can actually accomplish today?
What do you mean?
What if we are just hooked because the dream of true artificial intelligence, like a machine that can actually think and reason and feel like us, is the ultimate uncompleted task of human history?
The ultimate unresolved loop.
Maybe our brains are just trapped by the Zeigarnik effect. We started building this thing, and it can mimic our language, and it's so close to looking human, but it's fundamentally not there yet.
So we keep pushing.
And maybe we just won't be able to look away from the hype until the puzzle is finally solved, or until it solves us.